In the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk shooting, what I've seen is nothing but a cover-up from the right. A cover-up of America's epidemic of gun violence. A cover-up of the policy failures that allowed it. A cover-up of the political climate they've fueled with their own rhetoric, and even a cover-up of the shooter's real ideology. What makes this even more striking is that Elon Musk himself has exposed parts of this false narrative. At the very moment Donald Trump is scrambling to push his own version of events, we're going to break it all down. But before we dive in, I'd like to ask you to leave a like on this video. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It really helps support the work we're doing here. Now, before we get into how Elon's words have blown apart the spin from the right and from Trump, I want to start with one of the most powerful responses I've seen to this tragedy. From a pastor who directly called out Charlie Kirk. Let's take a look.
Charlie Kirk did not deserve to be assassinated. But I'm overwhelmed seeing the flags of the United States of America at half-staff calling this nation to honor and venerate a man who was an unapologetic racist and spent all of his life sowing seeds of division and hate into this land. And hearing people with selective rage who were mad about Charlie Kirk but didn't give a damn about Melissa Hortman and her husband when they were shot down in their home, tell me I ought to have compassion for the death of a man who had no respect for my own life. I am sorry, but there's nowhere in Bible where we are taught to honor evil. And how you die does not redeem how you lived. You do not become a hero in your death when you are a weapon of the enemy in your life. I can abhor the violence that took your life, but I don't have to celebrate how you chose to live. I am overwhelmed.
This is exactly what I've been saying. We shouldn't be forced to perform condemnation when our record already shows we've been acting on it. The left has spent decades trying to reduce gun violence, while too much of the right's rhetoric helps inspire real-world attacks. We didn't see broad, sincere vigils for Charlie Kirk. Instead, some corners of the internet and street movements cheered slogans about taking the country back, language rooted in white nationalist grievance and violent nostalgia. America's history is built on systemic political violence. When people demand a return to that past, they're ignoring who actually built this country and who has suffered under that history. Charlie Kirk's influence, in words that encouraged harassment and targeted marginalized people, contributed to that toxic atmosphere. Before we get into how Elon Musk exposed part of this cover-up, let's look at the role he played in fueling the narrative he later helped unravel.
This is going to come to you. You will have no choice. You're in a fundamental situation here where whether you choose violence or not, violence is coming to you. You either fight back or you die. You either fight back or you die. And that's the truth.
Today, Elon, I think the British public are telling the world that they're ready to fight back.
Good. Yes.
Come on, Great Britain.
This is what we're seeing from the right. And although Elon helped expose what it is, he's also so stupid that he was engaging with it. They want a war. They want something to point to get themselves angry, to justify their actions, because they want the authoritarian takeover by Donald Trump's government. That is what they are so desperate for. They don't want to heal. They don't want to mourn. They want to attack marginalized communities. That is what Charlie Kirk is about. That is what his legacy was about. And that is why I refuse to give in to this faux outrage, and for my heart to break for a widow who is using her husband's death as an opportunity to firstly raise money, but to try to inflict pain on marginalized groups. And that's what's been done by white guys who've carried out these attacks for decades. And Elon Musk tried to cover that up, and he admitted to it. Grok, Elon Musk's AI, wrote on Twitter, based on reports, Charlie Kirk was killed on September 10th, 2025 by suspect Tyler Robinson, whose online activity referenced far-right memes and fascism. Voter records show no party affiliation, but some sources link him to conservative views. Melissa Hortman and her husband were killed in June 2025 by Vance Bolter, a confirmed Trump voter. On stats, ADL shows 75% of U.S. extremist murders 2013 to 2022 were by far-right actors. Though sources like CSIS note rising far-right threats, while Cato emphasizes overall rarity, includes other ideologies, definitions of political murders vary across studies. Elon responded to this factual report saying, "My apologies. We are fixing this cringe idiocy by Grok." Elon Musk has openly suggested that he wants to downplay or cover up the reality of these attacks, specifically the fact that so many are carried out by individuals influenced by far-right ideology. And that's exactly what Donald Trump and his allies want too. Figures like Kash Patel keep pointing the finger elsewhere, even floating claims about supposed connections to trans-supporting groups, not because there's real evidence, but because they want a new scapegoat. Trump's earlier attempts to fearmonger about immigrants and push mass deportations became so deeply unpopular that he shifted his focus to another marginalized community, transgender Americans. This is the pattern. Redirect outrage, fuel harassment, and keep hate alive. And while the right demands that the left constantly condemn political violence, they ignore the systemic violence happening every day in America. Families going bankrupt because of medical costs, people rationing insulin, cancer patients losing treatment because corporations prioritize profits. That's political violence too. So are deportation raids that rip people from their homes. The truth is, this is part of America's reality. Pretending otherwise is a choice. So when conservatives demand selective outrage over one case while ignoring suffering at home and abroad, it shows what they really value. As Representative Jasmine Crockett said, the selective memory and selective morality on display tell the full story.
That's the issue, right? That's where I'm trying to figure out how can people who like Donald Trump or don't like Donald Trump understand that he seems to be building a police force that is not subject to the normal rules that either policing or military should be subject to. It's sort of a police force that's lacking accountability.
No, there is no accountability, and it's going after its American people, right? Like, the idea that any of us want to be unsafe in this country is absolutely absurd, right? I don't care what your political affiliation is. I don't care what your cultural background is. None of us want to be unsafe. Yeah. But we're not looking at the facts. We're not looking at the fact that immigrants, regardless of how many times you're going to cherry pick and say, well, there was this one immigrant that was here illegally and they ended up killing this one person. Well, for every immigrant that you have an example of, I'll raise you at least 2 to 5 white supremacists, if not more, right? So like, you've got to look at who is it that is committing the crime? Who is it that is committing certain types of crime. And then you need to figure out why. And then you go in and you say, this is how you reduce it. You and I talked about poverty, right? So if you are doing things that are going to increase poverty, whether we're talking about your terrible tariffs that are illegal as well, or whether we're talking about the fact that you are defunding healthcare, you are defunding food, you are now going after education and defunding education and want to get rid of the Department of Education as a whole, or you want to take our tax dollars and make sure you send it off to the private schools that don't have to take every single child, you are definitely compounding the issue. You are not fixing anything. You are making things worse because you have no idea what you're doing. Yeah. You messed us up before. We ended up having the worst job numbers when you were in the last time. And guess what? We've got the worst job numbers now, especially when you start to look at the Black community. Yep. So listen, if we want to figure out how we are going to be safer, we probably need people that have actual intelligence and actually will pay attention to data and facts and go from there. But what they're doing right now, it almost feels like, you know, I've seen the memes about the purge and all these things. But as somebody who understands history, when I see ICE, I see slave patrols. Now, I never lived through the slave patrol period, but if you know the history of policing in this country, then you understand that they were born out of slave patrols. And now with the Supreme Court saying this, it's almost like you can just go grab them up. That is what they're saying. And that is a problem. We all should have a problem with that. But when you don't want to teach American history that includes Black history, then you lose out on the benefit of understanding that we have been down this road before and it was not good and we fixed it once. And it is a shame that we are relitigating this and we're going to have to fix it again.
If you truly want to stand against political violence, then call out Donald Trump's ICE raids, challenge the actions of his administration, and stop supporting Republican policies that fuel harm. Real change comes through action, not hollow words, and that's exactly what we'll keep doing here. If you'd like to support this work, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and if you made it all the way to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.